APEC member countries to address food security. Donations roll in for earthquake victims. And C-130 Hercules distributes aid to disaster-affected areas. This is National EMTV News with Meribah Tulo. A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Saturday's news. Papua New Guinea has suggested to APEC member countries to address food security and translate policies into business opportunities and promote women's participation in the agriculture sector. Papua New Guinea Vice Minister for Agriculture and Livestock, Henry Ame, made these remarks when opening discussions on policy partnership on food security in APEC member countries. The two-day discussions will conclude tomorrow.
Papua New Guinea is chairing talks on developing a policy that will improve food security in the 21 APEC economies. Vice Agriculture and Livestock Minister Henry Ame says the discussions is important because APEC economies are major producers of food items which are consumed and traded globally.
Increase in food demand will be brought about by increase in population, increase in income levels, and urbanization. Whilst on the supply side, the declining volume and productivity of production resources such as land, water, and seas and climate change are the main threats to food production and food supply chains.
But on a local scale, these discussions are important for PNG consumers because 80% of our people are subsistence farmers.
However, agriculture is an important sector to Papua New Guinea because it accounts for about 28% of the GDP and supports about 87% of the population, mainly in the rural areas, who depend on agriculture for food security, income, and employment.
These talks will ensure effective and efficient food value chains are developed to supply sufficient nutrition which are safe and affordable for its consumers.
For this reason, APEC must translate agriculture and food security policies into business opportunities to increase trade and marketing of agricultural products for domestic and international markets and create enabling environment to promote growth and expansion of food trade and marketing.
Food security is an increasing concern for APEC economies because of the increase in food prices. Thus, APEC economies realize that without a policy in place, there will not be any control on food prices. As a result, the policy partnership on food security was established in 2011 to strengthen the public to private cooperation in addressing food security in APEC economies. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The Oceans and Fisheries Working Group commenced their 10th meetings this morning as part of the APEC SOM1 meetings. Participants highlighted a variety of issues APEC member economies face, such as illegal, unregulated and unreported fishing. They will also share best practices to manage a shared resource.
APEC Secretariat Director General Lahui Ako welcomed delegates from APEC members to the 10th Oceans and Fisheries Working Group meetings at Gateway this morning. The OFWG was formed in 2011 and is committed to a number of priorities, including exchanging information and helping to foster institutional capacity building in a focused regional setting, advancing discussions and the development of solutions for common resource management problems, and sharing best practices.
PNG is committed to work with other member economies to foster and progress discussions, particularly on promoting sustainable ocean and fisheries development. We should all aspire to cooperate and share best practices on sustainable, measurable, and transparent ways to ensure maximum economic benefit. Unless we cooperate and share best practices, we will continue to face challenges in effectively managing the oceans and fisheries resources. We would like to continue to promote sustainable and inclusive resource development, which the APEC leaders continue to reaffirm their commitments towards achieving robust economic growth by focusing on the 5 pillars of inclusive, balanced, sustainable, secure, and innovative growth.
Oceans and fisheries is a priority for APEC due to the fact that member economies account for over 80% of global aquaculture production and more than 65% of the world's capture fisheries. Leanne Jarari, National EMTV News.
The Independent Consumer and Competition Commission is seeking assistance from the APEC Committee to change mandatory laws for business acquisitions in the country. The ICCC is taking part in the discussions on competition policy and law group meeting. Deliberations in this group are based on creating and implementing strategies to promote healthy competition.
The 3-day discussions on policy, competition and laws began on Thursday with ICCC representing Papua New Guinea in these talks. Emmanuel Aura is ICCC's manager who oversees mergers and acquisitions. He explains that through the meeting, ICCC will seek advice from the APEC Secretariat on how to get companies to operate within PNG laws. This is to prevent monopolies and ensure a safe competition amongst service providers or manufacturers.
Because of the current regime that we have, where it's voluntary, they've gone on to become monopolies in not only the industries that they operate in, but in other industries that they've diversified into. And that poses a threat when you have only one supplier or one big company, because if it sets the price, everyone's just a price taker. There's no other option for you. So for us, we're looking at restructuring our regime to look at mandatory so that we get more compliance from the businesses that operate.
The work of ICCC is to regulate the prices of goods and services in the country, but it works with other government bodies to carry out its function. Such international meetings are opportunities for ICCC to learn from experiences faced by developed economies and improve.
So there's more competition in the market, there's lower prices, and there's improved quality for our people. So I guess that's what APEC provides. That's what APEC. If you harness the opportunities that you get in the APEC space correctly, you can deliver projects that can, pinpoint projects that can be of relevance and be of benefit to our people. And that's what we were able to do the past 2 days, and it was a great success.
The current challenge ICCC now has is getting the policies mandated so that it can use its powers under its act to create a more healthier economy.
It helps business houses when they're trying to buy another company in PNG. These are the guidelines that will help them to know their rights and obligations under our act. So, at the end of the day, if the company is trying to buy another company, we want to make sure that it essentially ends up in lower prices for our people, quality diversification of goods and services to our people. So, we don't want to isolate the business community. We want to be open and transparent and say, look, we have our act. It may be a bit complex, but we have these guidelines to make sure that you can understand us.
Thakla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Here with National EMTV News, we go for a break and we'll be back with more on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. The government of Japan announced 4 beneficiaries of its grassroots human security projects yesterday. Among the 3 is the PNG Fire Service. Japan's ambassador to PNG, Satoshi Nakajima, says the program aims to have impact and help improve PNG communities.
3 schools and the PNG Fire Service signed their contracts at the Japan Embassy yesterday so the grant assistance follows proper procedures and guidelines. Ambassador Nakajima says the grant assistance program is to help alleviate issues faced by the different organizations.
The GGP aims to directly impact on the lives of people in the communities by addressing basic human needs such as primary education, primary health care, and the basic infrastructure. including disaster prevention and water supply, among others.
The PNG Fire Service will be boosted with 6 new fire trucks, a timely aid with APEC nearing. The 3 schools will receive learning materials.
We are therefore very pleased to assist in providing a total of 6 fire trucks with equipment, 8 new classes, 45 desks and chairs, and 2 water tanks to help alleviate the situations of respective recipients.
Chief Fire Officer Bill Rue was present to witness the occasion. He says the fire service is struggling but is capable of saving the society if supported. Mr. Rue says the assistance is timely when government is slashing allocation to government agencies.
It is timely also in a sense that it has come at a time when our country is facing economic problems and the government is tightening up and cutting budget allocations to many government departments, and the fire service is no exception.
For the 3 schools, desks and chairs will help the overcrowding issue faced by many other schools in the country.
So thank you very much. I think that will help us to alleviate some of our problems at the school. So we promise that we will follow the guidelines and the requirements that is set.
Jack Lopave Jr., National EMTV News.
The Japanese ambassador also conveyed Japan's condolences to families of those who perished in the recent earthquake in Hela and Southern Highlands. Ambassador Satoshi Nakajima says it is unfortunate many lost their lives in this natural disaster. He says Japan is mourning with Papua New Guinea.
On behalf of the government and the people of Japan, I would like to convey our deepest sympathies and solidarity with all those who are affected by the earthquake. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families of the victims and the people of Papua New Guinea.
After a 2-day workshop with conservation groups, Port Moresby Nature Park, in conjunction with ExxonMobil, today celebrated World Wildlife Day at the Nature Park. With the theme, Wildlife Under Threat, conservationists in PNG and abroad had the opportunity to showcase their projects.
World Wildlife Day was celebrated today at Port Moresby Nature Park. With the theme of Wildlife Under Threat, many conservation organizations were there to showcase their projects.
For conservation organisations from all over the country to come on down and just really teach us about what are they doing. You know, some of these conservation organisations are in some of the most remote parts of PNG working with local communities, and they don't often get a chance to actually share with us what they're doing. So this is the day where they can come out.
Executive Director for Centre for Locally Managed Areas, Maxine Anjiga, was present with her team to educate individuals about protecting fish. Their team, supported by USAID Pacific Climate Fund, are doing awareness in the Kairuku district in supporting women to manage their resources.
We love eating fish with eggs, but if we do, then we are eating potential thousands of fish for the future. And so we have to make sure that when fish are in season, and if the season is 3 months, let's not fish for the first month, but we can fish in the second or third month.
Lab manager for the Charles Campbell Toxinology Center, Ben Bande, and his team informed individuals on how to deal with snakes and snake bites.
It must be alone at Pomgen we receive about on average 400 cases of snake bites per year. And a good number of them, they pass away, they die. So it's good to do like awareness, tell people about what types of snakes and the distribution.
We were expecting about 2,500 for the day, so that's a pretty good day for the park. You don't often feel it though because people have been coming all day throughout the day, so it's not too crowded, which is nice.
Lilian Sopera Kinea, National EMTV News.
Here with National EMTV News, we go for a break. When we come back, more including updates on the earthquake relief efforts. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now, dialysis treatment for Pacific Islanders is increasing, and nearly 250,000 people in New Zealand have type 2 diabetes, around 4,000 of them progressing to kidney failure.
Sulia Suliete Sowani has been on dialysis for her failed kidneys for 8 years, but counts herself as one of the lucky ones. That's because as a New Zealand resident, she's eligible for the free and essential life-saving treatment.
I'm still alive. If I have no dialysis, I already died.
Because dialysis is not available in Tonga, she knows she'll never set foot in her homeland again.
I love my family, but I can't go.
But Suliete is grateful she can access free treatment. Others not as fortunate have to fundraise to get life-saving dialysis.
It's a huge pressure, and primarily the responsibility rested on the family and the community at large, and it is expensive.
Every year, Counties Monaco DHB is forced to write off millions in debt from those not eligible for health care. But in a new trend, the growth rate of those needing dialysis has significantly slowed. Counties Monaco has around 630 patients on dialysis, and this number is increasing, but the rate it's increasing is actually slowing down. It's looking promising. In the past, the South Auckland DHB was seeing dialysis increases of 6% every year. Now it's at 2%. More research needs to be done to find out why, but more successful kidney transplants could be an explanation.
It may be care, medical care is better.
There are also more ominous possibilities for young Pacifica who get type 2 diabetes.
It's a bit more aggressive disease at that young age for various reasons. And they do end the dialysis very quickly, and they do die quickly.
Diabetes is described as a tsunami hitting vulnerable communities. It's a serious problem that's far from over.
A suicide bomber has targeted the Australian Embassy staff travelling in a convoy in Afghanistan. A young girl was killed and 22 people wounded in one of a deadly car bombing in one of Kabul's most protected areas.
A blast so powerful it destroyed nearby homes, and it was aimed directly at Australians. The explosive was detonated by a suicide bomber as armoured cars from Australia's embassy drove by in the morning peak in a diplomatic area in Kabul's eastern suburbs. I saw the dead body of a girl, this man says, and 2 or 3 other victims were badly wounded. Those inside the Australian cars were all private security contractors.
4 Australian embassy vehicles were damaged in the attack, and 2 Australian contractors for security purposes were also injured. They sustained minor injuries.
Experts say foreigners are deliberately targeted to generate media coverage.
The target was right inside an area which is supposed to be protected. And so in a sense, the terrorist groups were saying, we can get you, even though you've got all this extensive protection around that part of the capital city, we can still get you.
It comes a month after the Taliban killed 95 people in Kabul with a bomb inside an ambulance. No one has yet claimed responsibility for this attack, but locals think it may be in response to this week's plea from Afghanistan's president for the Taliban to join peace talks. This may well be the hardline group's chilling response.
Desperate thieves have left a trail of destruction during an overnight crime spree in Geelong, Australia. 4 hooded thugs raided a supermarket and just minutes later smashed their way into a service station.
This stolen ute packed a punch big enough to force open a set of sturdy security doors. It was also packed full of crooks. 4 of them spilled out of the ute and into a Leopold supermarket to hunt for cigarettes and cash.
What's taken place here, unfortunately, is an epidemic that we've got in our community, not just here in Geelong, but throughout Victoria.
Their search and destroy mission was largely a failure. They couldn't force open cabinets which contained cigarettes. They had to settle for a till which held just a small amount of cash. The victims of the ram raid suspect the crooks were teenagers seeking to make some money on the black market.
They tried to steal some cash or steal some cigarettes to sell in the market.
Just 2 minutes later, the ute pulled up at a nearby service station. 4 masked males used hammers to smash their way through the front door. Again, cash and cigarettes were the targets. Despite their desperation, they left empty-handed. 2 break-ins and nothing but loose change to show for it. It's only 10 months since the last time this supermarket was broken into. Since that time, the owners have been lobbying the Geelong Council to install bollards on the footpath to help protect them from would-be ram raiders. Both businesses moved quickly to resume trading to help pay for the significant cleanups. Supposed soft targets set to become even tougher with their defence. Back home now, and the Royal Australian Air Force has deployed a C-130 Hercules aircraft to provide assistance following the earthquake that occurred in the early hours of the 26th of February this year. The C-130 Hercules aircraft has begun distributing humanitarian aid for earthquake-affected areas in Hela, Southern Highlands and Western Provinces. It has also been requested to conduct aerial surveillance of affected areas.
The C-130J Hercules left Australia on 1st March and arrived in Port Moresby on the same day. The aircraft will help assist the national government provide relief and aid for affected areas struck by the 7.5 magnitude earthquake earlier this week. This is the first round of humanitarian relief supplies from outside the country.
It's been made possible, of course, with the C-130 here in country. It means that we've been able to respond even quicker than we'd hoped for.
The relief include a mixture of medical supplies and equipment, tarps, tents, blankets and water containers. Southern Highlands Governor William Powey thanked the Australian government for the prompt assistance.
I want to state that the Australian High Commissioner has talked to the Southern Highlands team and is prepared to really support and send medical supplies and all that to the Southern Highlands, and also to send in personnel who can help with taking stock of all the damages that have been done. So we thank the Australian High Commission for coming to our assistance.
The medium-sized tactical airlifter has also been requested to conduct aerial surveillance of affected areas and support national and provincial authorities. Further assessments of the earthquake's impact will also be carried out by the Air Force. Police, Red Cross and volunteers are helping the Air Force personnel to distribute the relief supplies. Most supplies reached provincial headquarters yesterday.
We're here to deliver humanitarian assistance and disaster relief in the form of aid, as well as survey work to assess the damage of the earthquake.
The arrival of the aircraft follows a formal request by the Papua New Guinea government to the Australian government 2 days after the earthquake struck Hela, Southern Islands, Enga and Western Provinces. Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
Residents in Port Moresby turned up in numbers today at APEC Park to give their donations to the Southern Highlands Relief fundraising for earthquake victims in the province. PRK Mendy Murux, who are leading the fundraising activity, also got support from the PNG Rugby Football League.
The first fundraising barbecue at APEC Park today received many support from city residents who dropped by to donate bags of clothes and money for Southern Highlands earthquake victims. Pastor Isaac Joseph, who is the chairman for PRK Mendy Murux, leading the fundraising activity, welcomed the donations from Port Moresby residents.
This is not about us. This is for our people back, Southern Islands, Hela tu, Enga, Western Province, Plantilain, Olksim Bagrap. Sa mitotok stab now, especially Kutubu now, online stab makeshift homes, number set him tent now, stab lab.
Isaac continued to urge city residents to donate over the week. He said a number and account details will also be published through the media for friends and families overseas to donate as well.
Mila take him this opportunity la appeal na tok thank you lo plant your line you blakam Elios 2 o'clock you blakam put him or something backset lo you blugim or plant the bag clothes samblali only hire him taxi no only at karem kam put him one them or some block money only kam put him samblali kam lo bus one them bag only no sem lo karem all bag lo bus no karem kam put him lo ya. Now, me like to thank you also. Me blog make him this la yet, support him. This la course me blog make him.
PNG Rugby League Football CEO also gave his support for the initiative taken by PRK Mendy Murux and Mendy Rugby League Football.
Rugby League is a big family, and today we congratulate the Mendy Murux for taking the initiative to do this program to support people back home. We are here at PNG Rugby League recognize that Mendy Murux and Hela Wigman are a very important part of our Digital Cup, which is a national rugby league competition for many years. A lot of our great rugby league players have come from that region. And when we see our our teams and our clubs and our franchises standing up to do something like this for the people. PNG Rugby League and the bigger Rugby League family has, we will not stand back and watch. We will come in and just stand with them.
Stacey Yalo, National MTV News.
Yeah, with National MTV News, we'll have some updates in sport and Trukai Sports after these messages. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The country's top female golfer, Christine Seko, has been selected by SP Brewery to be an ambassador in one of their upcoming tournaments. Kristen has represented PNG in national and international tournaments and says it is a privilege to be a golfing ambassador.
Obviously, thanks very much to SP for giving me the opportunity to promote golf, but promote PNG golf as well as elite golf in the country. And it's a prestigious event that you have to be at a certain level to compete in, and also competing with the professionals that come and are part of the tournament and make it what it is. There are certain, I guess, requirements as well that you need to go through to be participating at that level. So, yeah.
Proud of having Christine on board, representing golf in Papua New Guinea and as well as SP Brewery. This year is the 12th year in a row that SP Brewery has supported the PNG Golf Open, and we're very proud of that. We've had a long and successful history with the PNG GA, and seeing a Papua New Guinean take the limelight, and a female especially, and in the Golf Open is great for us.
We'll go for a break now and be back with more of Trukai Sports on the other side. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The victims of a violent home invasion by an Australian Rugby League player say they've never received an apology or a cent in compensation. The 2015 assault by Matthew Lodge in New York is back in the spotlight after never-before-seen CCTV footage was released just as Lodge is about to make his return to the NRL.
Rambling through the streets of Manhattan at 4 a.m, Matthew Lodge chooses his victims at random. He traps German tourist Carolyn de Kaiser and her flatmate outside an apartment block. He asks Carolyn if she thinks she's going to die. He then tells her, "Tonight is the night you're going to die." Hearing the commotion, Joe Cartwright comes out of his ground floor apartment to their aid. Lodge, the hulking 120-kilogram NRL front rower, charges into the flat. Beginning 15 minutes of terror, Cartwright, his wife Ruth Fowler and their 9-year-old son Henry will never forget.
It's obviously something that's going to affect us for the rest of our lives.
Then with the West Tigers, Lodge's rampage occurs on October 16, 2015, while on an end-of-season trip. With Miss Fowler and Henry locked in a bathroom, Lodge continually punches the door and puts a hole in it.
It was really difficult in the aftermath for all of us, including, a 9-year-old boy that asked not to be killed. 9
New York City police officers attend and arrest Lodge at gunpoint. He spends 2 weeks in New York's infamous Rikers Island prison. He pleaded guilty to assault and was sent back to Australia. A civil suit in mid-2017 resulted in a $1.6 million judgment to the victims.
We don't want Matthew Lodge not to play. That's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for him to take responsibilities for his actions, to have some justice in this.
Lodge is on a base salary of about $100,000 as he seeks a second chance. None of that wage will go towards paying off his debt. The Broncos and the NRL saying it's a matter for Lodge to deal with, not them. Adding further insult, he's never apologised.
To football, and Melbourne Victory season is back on track thanks to a fiery win over crosstown rivals Melbourne City.
Tempers flared just before half-time as the contest threatened to get out of control. Order was restored, with City converting a second a second-half penalty to level the scores, before Victory netted the winner on 61 minutes.
Broxham, eager to return for giving away the penalty. It's a lovely ball, and there is the goal for Leroy George.
Victory is now just 1 point behind third-place City on the...
To cricket now, in a devastating spell from Mitchell Starc had Australia in a dominant position heading into day 3 of the first test against South Africa.
6 for 237 early, day 2 could have been much different, but Mitch Marsh is now at ease as a test number 6.
I probably can't repeat some of the stuff I think about on the field now while I'm batting in between balls, but I tried to keep my mind clear.
Mitchell Starc's 35-run, 25-ball cameo was critical. Marsh deserved a third ton in 4 tests before a cruel end on 96. With a bonus 351 to defend, Steve Smith threw South Africa to his lion in the 8th over. He snared Dean Elgar, then Hashim Amla 2 balls later. Lion roared, Pat Cummins bounced out Aidan Markram on a dour pitch before the Mitch magic began.
Beautiful bowling.
He knew he was on. Express pace, reverse swing, Akram-like control, unplayable fast bowling. Suddenly, Lions stalking 300 test wickets.
Wow.
Past Craig McDermott as the 6th Aussie all-time with 293 scalps.
One of the best spinners in the world right now, so it's a great weapon for us.
Only the batting genius A.B. de Villiers could resist. Stranded on 71, Starc tore through the tail, taking 5 for 34, his 9th 5-for in 41 tests.
Beautifully bowled.
Only 2 days into a 4-test series, the hosts are on their knees. Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
And that's it for Trukai Sports. We go for a break. When we come back, the weather details for Sunday.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
A look at the weather forecast over the next 24 hours in the southern region. Alotau, mostly fine with a top temperature of 31 degrees as well. A top of 31 for Port Moresby, Daru, Kerma and Popondetta, and showers expected. To the Momase region, some showers expected in Leh and Wau. Cloudy weather, the order of the day for Medang, Wibek and Vanimo with a top of 31. To the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine in Lorengau, Keveng and Buka. A shower or 2 expected in Kimbe, Kokopo and Rabaul. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, all these major centres can expect a shower or 2 over the next 24 hours. A look at the forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours. And seas from southern PNG Indonesian border through Hood Point to Samurai Island to western and eastern Milne Bay Islands, Cape Vogel to Long Island, Manus to New Island and waters of Bougainville to east and west New Britain, sea 0.5 to 1.2 meters. And a look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas. The Coral Sea, sea slight with southeast to southwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. Solomon Seas, sea slight with northwest to southwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. Bismarck Sea, sea slight with northwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. And the Pacific Ocean, sea slight with northeast to northwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And before we go, 119 recruits from the Papua New Guinea Defence Force have begun their careers as soldiers when they marched off the parade grounds at the Defence Force Training Depot at Goldie. The pass out today signifies the completion of basic military training as these soldiers advance to the next phase of their careers. Central Governor Robert Agrobe, who was the reviewing officer, reminded the recruits that all were subjected to the military code of conduct and must act within the rules.
These recruits commenced training on 6 November last year. They are the second intake for 2017. These recruits marched onto the parade ground with a sense of pride and achievement for completing 12 weeks of training. An achievement that shows self-perseverance and the heart to serve Papua New Guinea as members of the Defence Force.
This course was meant to teach and develop your basic soldiering skills, in which you have demonstrated, having attained the necessary basic skills and knowledge required, thus displaying the potential for further training to be finally recognized as a member of this professional institution.
The pass out today marks an achievement in the PNGDF white paper policy as it reaches a targeted ceiling of 4,000 soldiers. But while this may be an exciting time for the recruits, they were reminded that the country has high expectations of them as military personnel. Each recruit is required to complete 2 years of probation before they can be gazetted as soldiers.
But be warned, as soldiers, you are all now subject to the code of military discipline, and any unethical, unprofessional, and ill-disciplined action and or behavior will see you face the appropriate corrective measures and subsequent consequences. On mob rule and unruly behavior by service personnel, also look specifically at addressing the culture of soldiers' actions in threatening and harassing people and or taking damaging items, properties. Those breaching these directives will also be facing discharge from the force pending outcome of investigations and the recommendations of the unit commanding officer.
PNGDF Commander Gilbert Toropo and Second in Charge Colonel Siale Diro were present to witness the passing out. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
And to end the news, a recap of our top stories this evening. Australia's C-130 Hercules aircraft begins distribution of aid to earthquake-affected areas in the Highlands region. APEC members discuss food security, and World Wildlife Day celebrated today. And that's the way it is today, Saturday, the 3rd of March 2018. On behalf of the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.